Hey, welcome to the On the Road edition of OSHA Compliance Help Show. I am your host, Sheldon Primus, and I'm also the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast. If you had not had the time to check that one out, please do. It would be wherever you listen to podcasts. Go ahead and just type in Safety Consultant with Sheldon Primus, and that's where you're going to see me. So today I am actually on the road. I'm in South Florida. Don't have my mic set up or anything. I actually am just going with audio through the camera and then visual, so against a nice white wall. So got as much lighting as I could here too, because I don't have my regular light. So this is going to be nice and quick since we're in the raw as far as being on the show. So I figured let me do a quick one for you, because now it's the record keeping time. So I just want to give you record keeping basics. That's really what I'm going to boil down to. A nice quick one on record keeping. As always, if you have a question, comment, anything, go ahead and let me know in the comment section, and I will be able to answer your OSHA compliance question. If it's record keeping or not, it's up to you. I just want to make sure I answer your questions there. So just go ahead and put that in the comment section. And truly, good morning. Hey, Suze, how are you? Hopefully you're doing well. I hope you guys can hear me decently. So I'm going to answer your record-keeping question for you. So this is the deal. We'll go over 1904. So that's your record-keeping section for OSHA. That standard has really mystified safety professionals for a while. And to tell you the truth, it does even mystify some OSHA compliance officers, especially if they're not really sure of what to do. So I always still refer back to 1904 with certain questions, because there's an absolute that they follow, but then there's also some specific things that you really need to understand about record keeping. What's up, Taylor? Good morning to you, sir. Hopefully everything is all right today. Any questions and comments that you have on record keeping, go ahead and hit me up. I'm actually going to get a little closer so you're going to see me adjust here a little bit so you guys could hear me. And this is the on-the-road version for these that are just coming in. So truly, I've got no equipment here, so we're going to work it out as best as we can. So record keeping, 1904. One of the things that you really want to make sure of, and this is a compliance thing that I'll start out with, is right now you're in the period where you need to do your 300A summary forms and make sure that those are up February 1st, working all the way to the end of April. And at the end of April, you can actually take down the 300A summary logs. You don't need to keep it up year-round. So at that period, go ahead and take that down if you want to, but you don't really have to do that year-round. So that's the first compliance thing I want to mention about. The second compliance thing is right now OSHA is expecting any large companies, anybody over 250, you're going to have to do your 300A forms from last year. You're going to have to submit that electronically, and any smaller company from 20 to 249 employees, you have to be in a certain high-risk, high-hazard industry, and there's a list of those high-hazard industries, and with that, you're going to end up having to do your online record-keeping as well. So, I got poor internet, so I don't want to rock the boat in showing you my screen, but I'm going to give it a chance just to see if, and hopefully I'm not going to get kicked off, but the record keeping, I want to make sure that you guys are going to see that list. So as I'm looking down here, this is me checking my computer. So again, even though I'm dedicated to record keeping for this short time, if you have any OSHA compliance questions, go ahead and ask me now, and I'll answer those questions for you. If I can't have the answer, I'm going to look it up. You know, might as well. Don't have an answer for everything, but I can look things up. So let's do that. So first I'm going to share this record keeping page. I'm going to put this in. Well, actually, let's not yet. So let's see if you're seeing this. Alright, looks like you're seeing it. So this is the biggest issue right now for compliance. is making sure that you guys are going to do the injury and illnesses right now. Taylor's got a question, so let's get on the question. I like to do the questions right away because I never know when you have to log in and log out. So I want to make sure that I get your question while you're logged in. So question is saying, would a rash on the skin caused from bacteria found in a natural soil employees are working meet the criteria for employee of the employee is prescribed medical cream ointment from the doctor? So if I'm understanding this right, the hazard is the bacteria that's found in their working environment, and now the patient is being given prescription ointment. So though it's ointment, it's still prescription. OSHA does not delineate between prescription as in something you take orally or something is injected. Once it's prescribed by a doctor, that means the doctor is taking care of this patient, and this is what the doctor recommends. So therefore, once that person is in the doctor's care and given prescription medication, then that is a recordable event. Also, in this particular case, it looks like the patient is experiencing an abnormal condition. So that's the number one thing for determining if it is going to be recordable or not, is you have to figure out, is this person experiencing an abnormal condition? And the acute reaction to touching the soil, which is the rash, then that's an abnormal condition. They get seen by a doctor. As soon as that doctor prescribes medication, it's a recordable event. It goes into your 300 log. So that would be your answer to that, Taylor. Hopefully I got your answer on that, or answered it okay for you, that you got it. But that does become a recordable event due to that criteria. So let's show you, and go ahead and put in the comment if you need some more clarification on that as well. So the part you're looking at here is the injury tracking. So I'm going to click on who has to record, and right here is where they say the certain industries. When this pops up, I'm going to put it in the code in the chat box here for you. So, alright, you are very welcome. I'm glad that you got this. So you're welcome to stick around. You don't have to leave yet. but I know from time to time people come in and come out of the actual session for OSHA compliance. So I want to make sure I get questions right away. So if you have a question, let me know. Check your chat box. So right now in the chat box, I'm sending you where this is where I'm at right now. So those of you that have less than 249 employees, you may still need to record injuries and illnesses, and this is the North American Industrial Classification System Code, NAICS, the most important code you're going to need to know for OSHA compliance. You're going to get that code on your 300 logs. You're going to end up having to write that in. Many of you will also have multiple codes because the code is specific to your activity. So let's say, for instance, you're a company and you do welding activities, but you may also do installation work as well. You have two different codes because now you have two different activities. So you may have several different codes as an organization, and this is always establishment based. So you have an establishment, which is your local area, and then you have a firm, which is your company that may have several establishments, and it makes up the employee number as a firm. So your 300, 300A, 301 forms are establishment based, your physical office. So let's say you have 11 employees, 12 employees in that office. That is the establishment, so therefore you're keeping records for that establishment. But you may have a Houston office and a San Jose office and everything else. That's the firm. The firm is different. So each one of those offices are their own establishment with the own record-keeping rules in 1904. So that's the difference there. You may have a clerical office, and that's all they do there with a clerical NAICS code. They are exempt from record keeping. So that would be one of the things you really have to make sure you guys work out. But if you have establishment 20 to 249 employees, and you're in these codes over here that I just put in that chat box, then that means that you are also going to have to do the electronic record keeping. So that is important for you guys to understand that. If there's any more questions, please go ahead and put that in the chat box. I'm checking to make sure I didn't miss anything. And I will answer your questions as we go, especially record keeping, because, this is what's top of everybody's mind now. Second thing for record keeping. So number one, is that person, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen right now so I don't kill my bandwidth, but if that person that is saying that they are experiencing an injury or illness, then that, if they're experiencing something at an abnormal condition, that's the number one thing you need to remember. The second thing you need to remember is, were they doing something in the interest of the employer? So here we got Jesus is saying, if a person gets injured during their lunch break, is it a recordable? OSHA has been consistently saying yes. It only is no if the person was preparing food or eating preparing or eating their food for personal consumption, basically not making a meal for that is part of their job for the organization. But if it's for personal consumption, they could lacerate themselves and eat stitches, and it's not recordable if they're preparing their food for personal consumption. But if they got injured in the lunchroom, then that is actually still part of their working condition. That's the other thing you have to say. Is the worker doing anything in the interest of the employer, or are they at this facility or this activity or using this piece of equipment as part of their employment, meaning they will be fired if they're not doing this activity. So for Jesus's question over here that just came up, and Jesus, hopefully I answered that for you. But for this question that came up, as a person gets injured on their lunch break, is it recordable? There's a story and an actual case in OSHA. If you were to look up the frequently asked questions for 1904, one lady was actually doing basically knitting at her lunch period, lacerates herself to the point she needs stitches, and then that becomes recordable. The reason why that's recordable is she wasn't doing anything in the interest of the employer, but she was at that facility even at lunchtime as a condition of her employment. So therefore, that was a recordable event. So when things get really gray is usually, are you doing anything in the interest of the employer? And then also, are you physically doing this job, this equipment that you're using, this location you're in the interest of the employer? And so that's really what it boils down to. De nada. Any more questions, go ahead and put that in there, and I will be able to help you out as much as I can. If I don't know, I'll look it up, and we'll look it up together. But I truly want to spend a little time helping you guys with record-keeping issues, because a lot of people with record-keeping, it comes up, you kind of know the answer. You want to really make sure you know it, because it's something that can be affect you later on in an inspection. So if a compliance and safety officer comes, usually this is the way that they come in. They'll show you their ID, and then after they show you the ID, you're going to do an opening conference with them. In that opening conference, they normally ask for your records, and then they'll also ask for your written programs. The reason why they ask for your OSHA record for injuries and illness is that's going to set the tone for the inspection. They're going to be able to see what area that you actually have injuries in or illnesses, and now they know, the corner of this warehouse has injured 2 people. Let's find out what's going on here. Maybe there's a struck by incident that keeps happening because they have no markings, or maybe they have that concave mirror for the forklift operators does not exist, and it looks terrible, and they've been writing work orders on this. No one's been doing it. Therefore, the record keeping led this inspector to that direct spot to figure out what went on. Also, they'll find out, what areas or what departments are most frequently injured, and then they know they need to check that out a little bit more. So it really sets a tone to that inspection. So if you're not recording things right, then it's going to hurt you. There are many known exceptions for recording, such as if you have a tetanus shot, someone gets steps on a nail and you decide, all right, let's give them a tetanus shot, just in case. Even though they're receiving a shot because of a work incident, that one specifically is an exception to the rule. So knowing the exceptions to the rules is very important too, to help you with your record keeping. So that's going to be in 1904 section 7B. In section 7B, you're going to see a whole list of exceptions over there. Section 5 is going to tell you what is recordable, and when you go through that section, you're really going to start seeing and just listing it out. But in the back of your head, you always want to keep thinking, is this person experiencing an injury or illness or an abnormal condition? Then the next thing you're thinking about was this person in the work environment or doing something in the interest of the employer, or here physically as a condition of their employment? Then after that, you're pretty much going to be able to figure out if those things are yes, it's a recordable event. The other thing would be, if that's an exception, is recordability and reportability, meaning you need to record some things, but you don't need to report to OSHA. For instance, if someone had a recordable injury on the road, then OSHA gets the recording of it in your 300 log, but they don't need that call if it was one of those catastrophic events, meaning one hospitalization, one loss of an eye, or one amputation of a body part. That's a catastrophe. OSHA needs to be called within 24 hours of those events. Or a fatality. If that happens, OSHA needs to be called within 8 hours of that event. If that event happens over the road or in a rail car or in an airline, when you're literally taking off or in the airway, OSHA does not get that call, because that is another administration that has jurisdiction. So you report it, but you don't have to call OSHA in 24 hours or 48 hours, 24 hours or 8 hours for a fatality. So that is an exception. So as long as you get a good grasp of some of the exceptions, most of record keeping is fairly straightforward. When I do inspections, I always look at records as well. One of the most things that I see that is usually easy to catch is who signs that 300A summary log. The only person allowed to sign that 300A is the highest executive at that establishment. Safety officers can't sign that unless you're the highest executive at that establishment. The plant manager can't do it. No safety committee member could do it. That 300A summary log where it says signature, the highest person at that physical establishment, again, as I told you, firm is the big company, and you may have several establishments in a firm, but the establishment is physically where people are working. That establishment should have one person that is in charge and making the decisions for that location. That is the only person that's allowed to sign that 300A summary log. And if someone else signs it, you're going to get a citation on that. It'll be, it's not going to be a whole bunch of money because it doesn't affect safety and health, but it is just a record-keeping violation that you still don't want to get. It's an easy one to get mixed up in. So again, truly, the only person, I'll say it again because I see it all the time in my audits, my mock OSHA audits, the only person that's allowed to sign that is the highest executive at that establishment. Alright, any more questions or comments, go ahead and put it in. I'm about to wrap up. We had a good 20 minutes going here. I am doing an OSHA compliance seminar coming up, and this one is I've been calling it Revealing the Secrets to OSHA is what I call it. They probably don't like that name. Now that I'm thinking about it. They're probably like, hey, what is this dude giving away our secrets? But I am doing that. That's going to be in March. And you would want to check this one out. So truly, it's sheldonprimus.com/events. This one is going to be all, hold on, I'm having it right here. I'm going to put it in the chat box for you. And so you can actually be able to see it too. So in the chat box, I'm going to send it to you. Registration is now open. And I'm going to give you all the secrets that I use for whenever I need to work with OSHA and help people with OSHA. This is what the tools and tricks and everything that I use for that. So registration is open now. Go to sheldonprimus.com/events and you can register right now, and that is what I'm calling it, is revealing the secrets to OSHA compliance. Actually, it doesn't look like I could do that that chat in a few different locations. It came back as an error, so some of you may not have seen it. So just go ahead and just go to sheldonprimus.com/events, and when you do, what you're going to do is you're going to get that that registration page. I'll show you what it looks like. And I'm actually just stalling to see if any more comments or questions come in. So if the comments or questions come in, I'll answer that before I go. So that's why I'm kind of stalling a little here for you. I'll give you that opportunity. But this is the event page, so you can go ahead, and it looks like we're at the general admission phase because the early bird pricing has closed. So we're now at the general admission phase. So go ahead and sign up for that as soon as you can. Alright, go back, see if there's any questions or comments. I gave you as much chance as I can for you people that type like this. So it looks like we're good to go. So thanks for hanging out with me on this one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Next week, I'm actually teaching a class during the week, but I think I'm going to be able to squeeze in that 11 o'clock. So Tuesday and Thursday, like I've been trying to do, we're going to have the live stream OSHA compliance help. So I'll be working with the Alliance Safety Council, teaching the Certified Occupational Safety Specialist class, COSS. So while I'm going to be finishing up classes for lunch, we're going to run over here, do the Tuesday and Thursday live stream, and then go right back to class and get the students certified for being Certificate of Occupational Safety Specialist. So that is it. Thank you so much. Thanks for working with me on the road. The On the Road show, where I'm literally in a bedroom, but you guys can't see that part, but you can see the back wall. So I'll be back in the studio next week, alright? So have a wonderful rest of your day, and go get 'em.